Five, four, three, two, one. A bit of an impromptu show. G'day, John. Welcome
Hey,
back,
mate.
mate.
Thank
Uh,
you.
we had a discovery today. And look, man, first things first, thank you very much. You've got no idea how long I've been messing around with this. I've been in Paint and Word and Google and stuff and I lost the pictures for a while. And I had to, look, man, right. So you made the discovery, mate. I gave you the pictures, but what did we find today?
So, well, should we bring the pictures up so we can just, or do we want to talk about it first?
We
We
can
can,
chat about it.
we can chat about it.
Yeah, we can chat about it.
Okay. So you sent me a couple of photos today.
Hmm.
One of a star system or
Hmm.
star, whatever you call it. What do you call those things?
Yeah, it's a star system. Yep.
Star system.
Constellation.
A constellation of the Pleiades.
Yes.
And you also sent me a photo of a rock with a whole bunch of holes in it,
Mm.
with the theory.
Mm.
And the theory was that the holes in the rock might match
They
the.
looked a lot like the Palladian
Yeah,
constellation.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Now, just this episode will be delayed because this is actually part of the Sacred Site documentary research, right? So these pictures were taken at the imprint site with Loomis back in November, December, whenever that was, and this is to do with the Sacred Site documentary. So basically, what we're saying is that there is a Palladian constellation match onto ground out holes at the imprint site or the axe grinding site, um, which is massive. It's so big, man.
Mm, mm.
Just so you understand, you flabbergasted all the boys. I rang a few boys and said, "Hey, I sent that photo you sent to me. I sent it around just to the inner circle, and I went, hey, this is a Palladian matchup at the imprint site." People didn't know what to say. Like, I
Mm,
think this is big, man. This is
mm,
big. This is
definitely.
big. So, we'll post this one on YouTube as well.
Yep,
But if you want to bring the photos up just
sure.
while we're having a chat about it. So basically, this is the Jinnabara site
Oh, hang on.
where
Sorry,
the imprint is.
you need to give me a
Oh, come
approval
on,
to
mate.
share.
You ask so much of me.
Sorry.
But
All right. Now let's share here. All right,
yeah,
where are
total
we?
kudos to you, man. I did not expect you to get back to me within a couple of hours.
I didn't either, to
Um,
be honest. I thought it was going to take me ages.
so obviously,
So,
well, the thing is, man, I'm sitting there working on it today, and I'm like, how do I do this easier? And it's like, it's easier done in Canva. I'm like, I
mm.
know someone who has Canva because that's what the new logos were done with.
Yep, correct.
Um, so yeah, so for
So,
those that are just listening, we have a pretty detailed picture of the Pleiades constellation that I downloaded, that gave all the major star marks that we could see, and then so what did you do, man? You just use this as the background image, and then
yep.
did you just make the other one transparent or opaque or something like that?
Yeah, so I'll just quickly scroll through and just show them the other picture. This is
That's the
what you sent
original.
me. Yep, this
Yep.
is the original. Now I have flipped this 180 degrees horizontal.
Yep.
So when it came through, it was actually the other way around.
Yes.
Because when I looked at it, I thought, hang on a second, this doesn't look right. This looks like a mirror image.
Yeah.
So what I did was and I'll scroll back up here, I basically taken a lot of the image out from the background,
Hmm.
and I'll just drag it up here
And you
because
just made it opaque,
yep, made it
basically.
opaque. Yep, whoop, hang on, sorry.
Oh,
Come back with my
zero
image.
mistakes, mate. Zero
Yep,
mistakes.
that's right. Now I'm going to bring this forward somehow. Sorry, hang on.
Yeah, that's what I was. Yeah, I
Yeah,
couldn't figure out how to.
uh,
This is the problem I had was trying to bring the
yeah,
image forward out of the other
yep,
image.
yep. So sorry, I can do this. It will work.
That's all right,
There we
mate.
go. There we go. There we go.
Zero
Okay.
mistakes. Here we go.
All right. So you can see, if you can see on the screen, I'll zoom in a bit here so you can
Yeah,
actually see. What I was looking at was, so here on the left,
the two
where my cursor
individual.
is, the two
Yeah,
individual rock or holes here.
yeah.
And I looked at these two white stars here. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I lined them up there.
Yeah,
Then I looked at, there's another two holes,
yeah. There's those
one
three across the
here.
top. Yeah.
Yep. One there, one here, this big one here,
Hmm.
this one in the middle here.
Yeah.
Now, got to understand, this doesn't line up perfectly.
No.
But when you sort of put it into position and you play around with the sizing of the images,
Yes,
they tend to
it
line
locks
back up.
in. It
Yeah,
locks in pretty close. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
This is, and you got to remember this is being done with hand tools on the
Hmm.
ground, looking up. Right,
Yep.
is how we would describe how this is done. Now, because I mean, the theory was, man, and the reason that we took all these photos is that so the story goes that these holes are just grinding holes for rounding off the end of spears or end of clubs or rounding off the end of tools or you know what I mean? Something along
Hmm.
those lines, right? Basic tool making, because there is axe grinding marks all over this place where
Yep.
you can actually see, and they still do classes there. Like you can, they'll take schools out there and they'll show them how to make an axe head out of stone, right?
Mm.
So that was definitely why it was there. And we saw, and look, I've been there a few times, but I hadn't had a working drone, or I hadn't taken the drone out there. And with Loomis, he had his drone. So the idea was is that we took all these photos of these holes from a downward looking position, just in case they matched up to different constellations.
Mm.
And when we looked at this one, I was like, man, that's close to the Pleiades. It sort of looks like it. And I've sort of had two images flicking back and forward. Like I'm like, yeah, geez, that and I saw what you saw. I'm like, it's not exact, right? It needs to
Yep.
be flipped and turned or
Yep.
whatever it is, right?
Yep.
But I just didn't have the technical acumen. But you've come through, man. I mean,
Mm.
the main stars, and you can sort of see in the middle there, like it's an interpretation, right?
Yeah.
But it matches pretty close though. Like
Hmm.
it's definitely not nothing. You know what
No,
I
that's
mean?
right. Yeah, exactly.
Um, you know,
Yep.
and you've got the tail there and the multiple stars that line up there,
Hmm.
which is very, very, very fascinating and a big discovery, man. The fact that
Yeah.
that's done at the imprint site. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's, I was just looking at this section here that sort of curls around, and you can sort of see this section here, which also curls around as well. So, like you said, it's not an exact match, but it's pretty close,
Well, you got to,
which is
yeah.
pretty
I mean,
fascinating.
it's fascinating, and I mean,
Yep.
obviously, for those that don't know, the base creation story for Indigenous Australia has directly to do with the Pleiadians. It has directly to do with genetic modification and all sorts of stuff that ties in with Australite tektite and
Yep.
all sorts of stuff. And it's
That's right.
all to do with the Pleiadian story.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, you know, when Loomis and I went on our trek and we went to Gympie, we went to Jinnabara and we just had a bit of a look. We thought maybe, but we weren't sure. And I'm pretty sure now, like that's
Mm.
close enough. Like I
Yep.
think that's definitely a representation of the Palladian star system in stone. I think
Yep. I think you're right.
especially with it's more the two stars on the side and the
Yeah,
located stars across the top that match
that's
up
right.
pretty perfectly.
Yep.
And there's interpretation of what's in the middle. What's
Mm.
curious to me though is how'd they know what the middle of the Palladian star system looked like, even vaguely,
Mm.
even with a clear night? You know what
Yep.
I mean? How would they know that? It's fascinating,
It
man.
is. It is. Yeah, and it opens up a lot more questions and answers.
Yes. Look,
So
all you've done is opened up a lot more questions now.
mm,
Um, I do know that we have another couple of vertical shots of groups of holes.
mhm.
So now we need to have a look at those groups and see if we can figure out if we can plug that into a star map somewhere. There's got to be a
Yeah,
way.
there has to be. Yeah.
There's got to be a way to do that.
Yep. For sure.
Because if we can get three separate pie in the sky here, if we can get three
Yep.
separate star maps,
Mm,
and then we can put those star maps in the location as to where they were in reference to each other, roughly,
yep.
we might be able to get a date.
That's it. Yeah.
We might be. We might be able
Possibly.
to get a date, possibly. But,
Yeah.
but regardless, even if we don't, the
Mm,
fact that this is, look, I'm happy to say that it is.
yeah.
It is the Pleiades constellation. I don't
Yeah.
think,
It's definitely something. Yeah.
and as I say, you flabbergasted the boys. You flabbergasted the inner circle.
Yep.
Um, and so what'll happen from here is this one will go into the archive, uh, obviously as part of the Sacred Site documentary, because this stuff will go to Loomis.
Yep.
All right. I think I think we'll get you in the credits, John. I've got a bit of pull, mate. We'll get you in the credits, special mention.
Thank you.
Because no, look, seriously,
Yeah,
man, you got
no,
no idea. We've been messing around with this for a while. Myself and Loomis don't have the technical acumen within the program. That's as simple as it is. They just
yeah,
don't have the skill set.
yep,
So I really, really appreciate it, and it's definitely, but it's another. So it broadens the horizon for the UTC Discovery that is at Jinnabar.
yeah,
That is
definitely.
completely original, man. No one,
Yep.
that's nothing else. No one knows it. No one has any idea about it.
Mm,
So obviously there's more work to be done at that site.
I think so.
Um,
Yep.
and yeah, what I thought I would do, man, just to finish up, if you want to stop share now,
Sure. Yep.
um, I did find the field photos from the technical field trip that I did at Jinnabara. Um, and I thought I'd just show you these. Oh, hang on, let's go back. Um, yeah. So there's the imprint itself, right? So it's actually
Yep.
not that big, right? There's
Hmm.
my size 10 and a
Yep.
half foot there, right?
Yep.
Um, you can see here it's what, so 10, it's only 23 centimeters long
Hmm.
at its widest point, right? But obviously we can see there the interest is the right angle. And
Mm.
it's pretty uniform as well. So like it is 10, it's pretty square, right? So that's 23 and that's 23.
Mm.
Right. So that's an interesting measurement. Okay. The accuracy of it. And obviously that's the cheeky bit there.
Yeah.
Um, and then this, I mean, some of the boys call it the sunglasses print because they look like sunglasses from the 80s. You remember those
Yeah.
big, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
But this is where are we? There you go.
Yeah. That's not natural. Definitely not
That's
natural.
that's
I mean,
that's
it's
the that's the
yeah.
money shot there, right?
That's right. Yep.
Now these photos, just for the record for this little improv show, these photos I sent these away to a geologist along with the sample of the stone from the area. Okay,
Mhm.
it's a pretty standard sort of sandstone. Okay, um, but as we figured out when we were down south, like it's sandstone's pretty hard to carve. It's not
Mm.
as you know what I mean. The hardness scale of sandstone isn't that far away from granite, which is quite funny. But because we call it the imprint because it looks like it's been pressed into it, right?
Mm.
Now, sandstone and particularly this type of sandstone, that's a good shot. This type of sandstone melts at over 2,000 degrees.
Yep.
So if that was pushed into that sandstone when it was soft, it was technically at 2,000 plus degrees in a liquefied state for that to happen.
Yep.
So, which is unlikely. But then I sent photos to a stonemason as well. And he's like, there's no way that I could make that cut with modern technology.
Mm.
Like you'd have to have like a die grinder and a what am I looking for? Like a guide, you know
A
what I mean?
jig.
Like
Yeah.
a jig, yeah. You'd
Yep.
have to have
Yep.
a die grinder and a jig, maybe.
Hmm.
Um, however, yeah,
Mm.
these are the field photos. Yeah, look at that,
Yeah.
man.
That's
It's what
amazing. Like
it's amazing. Yeah.
it's funny because it does remind me a lot of the glyphs and how they were carved in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways. But I mean, they're completely different. Like it's
Completely
definitely not.
different, but it looks like
Yeah. It looks
along
very
with
similar.
the glyphs, they look like this was done in a single pass. Whatever
Mm.
did it in
Mm.
one go,
That's right.
right? Which I think is again, that's not all the glyphs, not all the gospel glyphs look like that, but there's a fair percentage of them
Yep.
that differentiate from the others that look like they were done with like a laser etcher or something. You
Mm.
know what I mean?
Mm.
Like there's no other real way to put it.
Yep.
And so basically, see these pictures here. So this one here, that one there. So the imprint is up here.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
so this is there we go. So there's the imprint there,
Yep.
right? And that's the oh hang on, what are we doing? It's been a little while since I've looked at these. So see this one here, that
Hmm.
there, right angle, perfect.
Yep.
Right angle, perfect, right? That is, see this bit here. So here's the imprint there, right?
Yep.
Now I sent this photo to a geologist and again the stonemason, right? All this stuff went to them back in the day,
Hmm.
and they were of the opinion that this had been cut.
Definitely looks like it has. I mean,
Yeah.
the top section you could probably put down to natural
Well,
formation,
look,
but the
and
rest of it,
see,
not so
yeah,
much.
the tricky thing is, right? So if we skip forward a little bit,
Mm.
um, there's a lot of stuff around here,
Yeah.
right?
Like that
That
doesn't, that's not natural. Yeah.
that yeah, the geologist said this was cut,
Yep.
not this back edge here, this
No.
one that goes along
Yep.
there and right and right. He said that was cut.
Yep.
But there's all sorts of stuff. This stone, this sandstone, if we sort
Mm.
of flick around, I mean, there was all this sort of stuff here. Now, I've since gone back and put compasses, and there's again, like me and Loomis went back. So after I did this trip, Loomis and I went back again, and then I did things that I hadn't done the last time, like take the photos of the aerial photos and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But this stone, and look, you could see I was finding right angles everywhere.
Mm.
That was interesting as well. That looked like it had been cut. Like that is a very flat surface, right?
Yep.
But the thing is, if we just let me skip forward a little bit. Oh, there's that
Mm.
plateau bit. See that there? See it in there?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, there's another bit here, right?
Mm.
But the reality is this stuff does seem to break in right angles a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't break in perfect right angles, but it does break in right angles.
Yep.
Um, actually, where's that? That looks like that's an interesting picture there. It looks like it's been sawed through as well.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, there was all sorts of lines in the stone that we could see.
Yep.
I mean, this little triangle bit here was interesting. Like that I don't know that that's natural. I don't know. But see, here you go. So this bit's
Yeah.
fallen off the ledge there. That's fallen by itself, and
Yep.
that's pretty much a right angle. Unless it was chipped, unless it was cut off.
Mm.
But now we're beginning to cast the stones, pardon the pun, a little bit. You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I
Yeah. Yep.
there was a lot of right angle cuts and bits and pieces. So this little triangle
Mm.
stone was fascinating. Look at that.
Yeah, that's cool.
I just had to I messed around with that, but yeah, that's about it. That's
Yeah,
that's
wow.
that's the other side, right? So the
Hmm.
imprint is through that little ridge line there, and on
Yep.
the other side, yeah. Um,
Mm.
so that's oh yeah, there's some evidence. They still make dyes and ochre and all that sort of stuff out there.
Yeah.
Here you go. This is
Yeah,
what I was looking
wow. That's
for,
cool. Yep.
right? But technically, that happened naturally.
Yeah.
And we need to be aware of that. Sometimes this stuff does happen close right angles do happen in nature. I've seen that more than
Yep.
once now.
Yep.
So we got to be open to the fact, oh, it's a quarry.
Mm.
They were making megaliths. No, yeah. Can we really say that? Not right now.
Mm.
We can't
Not
really say
yet.
that. No.
No.
Yeah, and that's just some more stuff.
Yeah,
No, that's
that one's definitely an anomaly.
Yeah, the
That's
imprint definitely is, man.
100%.
And the thing is, the fact that the imprint's there and now the Pleiadean star system is there, they are
Mm.
two very unique dots. Now, for
Hmm.
those that I've talked about it a bit, but just where the imprint is and where the axe grinding site is and has always been a meeting place, right? So
Mm.
we were told by the indigenous that we went when I first found the imprint, right? We were told that that was a meeting place, was like the crossroads of four different tribes, like
Hmm.
the river marked the territory, and they marked off that place as a sacred place and a place of peace. So, women, children, men go and bath and make their axes and just chill out there. You know what I mean? Like
Mm.
it was a no violent zone. Basically, it was a community place where everyone could enjoy it because of the river and the water and
Yep.
the stone and all that sort of stuff. So it's like, okay, whatever did the imprint and whatever the imprint is, was it put there because of the fact that's the kind of place that it was?
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's and then the ladies is there, dude.
Yeah,
We
that's.
got to. I got to go. I got to get Loomis's other photos,
Hmm.
and if not, I've got to get back there with my drone and take some more.
Yep.
Because if we can triangulate this, then.
Mm.
But even if not, it's still pretty massive. If not,
Yep.
the fact that it is there, and I'm pretty like, yeah.
Yeah. It would be very interesting to see if there's actually more
There's
stuff there
definitely
that's
more.
covered up.
There's definitely more bunches of holes
Mm.
in random spots there. There's
Yep.
definitely at least three other things
Mm.
there. At least three.
How deep are they?
about an inch and a half, depending.
Because the theory of using a liquid, was it the prickly pear and something else you mentioned a while
Oh, to
back?
melt the stone. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Prickly
So I'm
pear and the
wondering if
two
that
other
might have
things.
been dripped.
Could have been.
You know what I mean? Like, and it's just,
Well,
yeah,
well,
that,
technically, if the previous versions of this that have been found at whatever time of year that was done, you would fill those little holes with water,
mm,
and then the star system would come over the top,
yep.
and you'd be able to see the constellation reflected in the water.
Okay.
That's that's how it's been told to me.
That's interesting.
Um,
Yeah. Very cool.
well, mate, I don't think we've got too much more. This is just a little shortcast that needs to
Yep.
go into the archives. That'll come out with the Sacred Site documentary
Sounds good.
because it's more questions than answers.
Yeah.
However, immense. At the same
Mm,
time, it's like, yeah, more questions than answers. However, wow, like
yeah. Yep. Mind
I didn't,
blown.
yeah, yeah, exactly, mind blown. Yeah, for the record, I gave this to John at what, I don't know, 2 o'clock or something like that,
Yeah, something like that.
and he messaged me at 5:30 and said, "Dude, you got to get on your computer right now. You
Mm,
need to see this." And yeah, mind blown, mind
mm,
blown.
hmm
So that means we open up the research. We need to go a little bit deeper there. Obviously,
Yep.
there's more to be found.
For
Thank
sure.
you very much, brother. I
That's
will
right.
really
No worries.
appreciate it. And yeah, little shortcast guys that'll come out with Sacred Site. You would have already seen that by now when this comes out. So look, that's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
Can't wait.
So, and this is part of it. So thank you very much, mate. I really appreciate that.
You're very welcome.
All right, man.
All right. Thanks, brother.
Till next time.